Welcome to the Mustard Seed Podcast, where faith meets the fight. Today, we're turning the spotlight on the unsung heroes, caregivers. Whether it's a spouse, parent, sibling, child, or friend, caregivers walk the cancer journey alongside the patient, often carrying invisible burdens. We'll explore how faith sustains caregivers, the challenges they face, and how we can better support them. Our guest today is Robert Doucet. He's caring for Deborah Doucet. In 2 months, they will have been married for 55 years. We'll hear firsthand what his role looks like, the struggles, the victories, and the mustard seed moments of faith. Welcome, Robert.
Glad to be here.
You know, the funny thing is Robert is my dad, so that felt really weird. So, hi, Dad.
Hey, baby.
Gary, do you want to start with the questions?
Sure. Robert, thank you for being here today.
You're welcome.
And I know you've been a caregiver for quite a while now for your wife, Deborah. And how did you feel when she got her first diagnosis the first time?
Well, I'm not sure how I felt. I was very scared. It kind of hit us all of a sudden, and not knowing what to expect or what the future held or how long the future would be, it was terrifying to me, to be honest with you. I did not know what to think.
What surprised you most about the reality that you were facing?
Well, my wife was diagnosed with 2 separate kinds of cancer in her lungs, a fast-growing cancer in one lung and a slower-growing cancer in the other lung. And so it just seemed so overwhelming. It's like, how are we going to deal with this, and what are we going to do about it? And of course, started praying immediately and have never stopped praying since. And we were investigating all different kinds of things. We had been to MD Anderson, and we were looking at all the cancer treatments and alternative treatments too, and it just seemed overwhelming.
Did you ever feel invisible or kind of, out of sort of the fray as it went down and as she started her treatments and so forth?
Well, I felt very small, just kind of helpless. I knew I could pray for her, and I knew that I could try to cheer her up and help her in any way that I could. But, you just feel so helpless because, if I could take her place, I would take her place, but you can't. And so it's very scary.
Do you recall what it was like in terms of how your life, your routine changed? Because I know from being your daughter and watching that experience that you were taking trips and you were doing things that you're not able to do because you can't leave her now.
That is correct. It changed a lot in that respect. Before, it's nothing. You could take off and go somewhere for a weekend or a few days, and she would be just fine and live her life, and she would go with us too. And then it got to the point where she really couldn't travel that much. It was just too hard on her. She was weak and very uncomfortable traveling, so she wanted to be at home. And so that changed a lot of things. And, there's been many times I thought, well, I'll probably never be able to take a trip again. I'm just, this is the way it's going to be now. But it changed drastically.
Do you want to talk a little bit about, I know you're an avid motorcycle rider and you came here to the studio today on your motorcycle, your newer one. Do you want to talk a little bit about kind of why you changed motorcycles because of the way that your riding changed as a result of this?
Well, that and, it used to be that we could take long trips, and then after this, it got to where we can't go so long anymore. So now the trips are kind of short, just a whole lot just around town, which is better than nothing. But I still long for the open road, and I still long to take trips, but she's more important than that. So we, she gets my first attention, but way before the motorcycle does.
Yeah, so just to expand on that a little bit, Dad was riding an Indian FTR carbon. And so taking trips out to the hill country and riding the Three Sisters in Tennessee and the Pig Trail, or is that Pig Trail in Arkansas?
Yes.
And what's the one in Tennessee called?
The Tail of the Dragon.
Tail of the Dragon. And my husband also rides motorcycles, so we were doing, some fun things and stuff, and it got to the point where he was only able to ride his bike to the grocery store. And so he traded, well, he still has the Indian, but he got a, what is it, Yamaha FJR?
Yes, and I have a bike now that has saddlebags on it, so I can go to the grocery store and have an excuse to go to the grocery store and haul some groceries home.
So he gets pretty excited. He's got all these containers, and he'll ask me sometimes, do you need anything? And I'm like, no, I don't need any. You sure you don't need me to run any errands for you? Anything to get on the motorcycle, right? But I know that's been a huge transition, because the freedom to be able to go and then come back into what he said, she's way more important.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads us into the whole eternal perspective, right? It's
Absolutely.
like the fleeting pleasures of this life and some of the frustrations sometimes. So do you have any thoughts about like what the hardest part was emotionally in dealing with this as a caregiver? And also to that, have you ever felt guilty?
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes you kind of feel guilty, that why couldn't it have been me instead of her, and I wish I could change that, but you can't, and so you just have to learn to realize that. Although I'm very glad that I'm healthy so that I have the strength and the stamina to help her because through this journey, I do a lot more things at home now than I used to do. I mean, I help cook and I help clean the kitchen and things like that I never, ever did before. She handled all the household chores, and I went and made a living. And now it's kind of like I'm making a living and helping around the house. And I don't mind. And actually, it's kind of fun sometimes, but it takes a lot of time. And that's time that I used to spend on something else.
So, how's your faith helped you with this journey?
I don't know how I'd made it without my faith. I mean, it's such a hopeless situation, and what do you have? All you have is we can't do anything but just pray and ask God, to help us get through this. It's kind of like, as yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. I mean, this is a deep valley, and the only way I can see anybody can get through it is having faith.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel awful for the people who do not have faith going through this.
What hope do they have?
Yeah, I think about that when I'm sitting in an infusion lab surrounded by 30 people, and I go, man, I hope all of them are believers, because those that don't have that faith, I don't know how they handle it. I don't know how they make it through the day.
They just have no hope. I mean, they're putting all of their hope in that medicine, but that's not near as much hope as we have.
It only takes them so far, and it doesn't take care of the real, where we're really working towards, which is eternity.
That's right.
That place where there'll be no more cancer, there'll be no more disease.
That is correct.
We'll be with our Savior forever in paradise, in a place that makes this look, like nothing, which I know, like you, I've ridden, some beautiful places in this country, and I think, wow, there's somewhere prettier than this.
Yeah.
Sign me up. I want to go there.
Yeah.
Were there particular scriptures and prayers and or a church community that was supportive of you, that helped you?
Yes. We have a wonderful church that we go to, and we've been going there since way before cancer got here. And a lot of good Christian people that have stood beside us. The ladies of the church have really, they have a prayer group that they pray for my wife constantly, and they'll visit her and send her things. And so that's helped a whole lot. She doesn't go to church now because of her condition, and she's really worried about picking up germs in a weakened state.
Sure.
So she watches it online on the TV. But without that group of people, it would have been much harder because they are always encouraging us and praying for us, and the whole church prays for us, and that means a lot. Really does.
It does, and it's powerful when it's people you have a history with.
That's right.
They've known y'all a long
That's
time, and know the character and know what you've done for other people, and now it's your turn for them to help y'all.
That is correct.
And that's the beauty of church, I think.
That's right. It's like a big family.
It is, absolutely. And when you're in trouble and need help, man, count on them.
I do count on them.
100%.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the family dynamics and the relationships and like any changes or frustrations or victories that you experienced?
Well, have 3 beautiful daughters, and I actually believe that throughout all of this that it's kind of brought us closer together because, they love their mom, and they think about maybe I need to go see mom a little more often, and things like that. And they pitch in. They come spend the night, and they'll bring her something new that they found that say, here, try this. This is supposed to help this and help that. And she was like having a little bit of trouble breathing because she has emphysema really bad. And one of my daughters bought her a little, very small, I call it a vaporizer, but it doesn't use water. I've never seen anything like it. And she brought that over yesterday, and so she used it last night, and she said it really helped. So things like that, I would have never thought of that. I don't keep up with all that stuff, but, girls are kind of more tuned in, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm very thankful for the 3 girls and what all they've done, because I don't think I could have made it without them.
Isn't it interesting the way God sets everything up?
Yeah,
because
it
I
is.
know your middle daughter is almost an expert in the cancer process. She shared a story last time that she had lost her husband to cancer, and I know I've gotten a lot of good advice from her, and I know y'all have, and I know there's a lot of people have, and that's not by accident.
No, that daughter actually loaded us up in the car and took us to Arizona for about a 7 or 10 day trip to visit in Arizona. There's a lot of clinics that do alternative type treatments, and that you don't see around here. And we learned so much over there, and gathered all that information and brought it back, and have used quite a bit of it. And it's been amazing. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
How long has it been since Mom's diagnosis? Do you remember?
I couldn't tell you exactly, but 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was very grim in the beginning. I mean, I've seen some tough times. I've seen the times where we spent the night on the bathroom floor.
Yeah.
We actually put a mattress on the bathroom floor because she was so sick we couldn't just get that far away.
Right.
And so we just spend there, and I've seen times that she was curled up in the chair, and her doctor, who's a wonderful person, trying to talk to her and ask her some questions, and she couldn't even raise her head and talk to her. And that is very, very scary. Now, she's come a long way since then, and she can sit up and talk to you now and everything, and we're not sleeping on the bathroom floor anymore either. So we're blessed, very blessed, and I thank God every single day for every blessing, every small blessing. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Do you remember the type of cancer Mom has? Do you know the names of the cancer?
The one in her left lung is called small cell, and that's the really, really aggressive one. And the one in the right lung was called squamous or something like that. It's a slower growing one.
And do you, just in case there's any watchers out there who are interested, do you recall what her prognosis was initially?
I can't say that I recall that exactly. You would probably know. What was it?
It will. Depends on who you ask. So in Mayo Clinic, they had said 3 months without treatment.
That is true. I remember that.
9 months with treatment. If we got a year, we'd be lucky. So
Yes.
it's and my mom, for perspective, she was 76 pounds. She's 110 now. She'd
Whoa.
probably kill us for saying that, but
No, that's
she's,
awesome.
We're in coming into the 5th year of the journey now, ending 4 years, and but just from a perspective of faith and fighting and using the resources that are available to you, like small cell is a pretty, they call it, well, I have heard it called like pancreatic cancer of the lung. It was already in her lymph nodes when it was discovered. So, and she went through months of, we suspected there was something and weren't able to get a diagnosis,
Right.
which will be a whole nother conversation we'll have sometime, because there's a strategy you can employ to try to get that information sooner. So we did get it sooner probably than we would have, but it was also later than I wanted it to be. But in any case, that's been over 4 years now, and we're still in some challenging waters right now. She just changed chemotherapy. We came upon insurance wouldn't cover the 2 drugs that were the ones her doctor selected, so there's self-pay going on. So a lot of challenges there, which leads me, Dad, to I wanted to ask you the question about like the practical struggles, like the financial struggles and the, getting her to appointments. I know you drove downtown for radiation.
Yeah, we've driven downtown to the Methodist Hospital downtown 20 times now, 20 trips, and that's over 100 miles. And of course, 100 miles in Houston, that's a half a day, with the traffic. Yeah. It's horrible, but we do it because we need to do it, and the reason we are been going downtown is because they have newer technology down there than the hospitals out in the ones that we normally would go to.
Sure.
And so we want to get the latest, greatest, and so we just make the trip, and it pretty much kills a day just to go, but we just finished 5 more of those, and but the doctor says she's responding well to them, so it's worth it.
Good. That's targeted radiation she's doing now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
She
called
had
True Beam.
metastasis to the brain. She had actually, again, she's such a fighter. One of the doctors called her a sturdy woman, and I'm like, I have those genes, thank God. She had a brain surgery last November. There was a very large 5-centimeter tumor in her brain, and so they removed that. And of course, you hear cut on cancer, and you know what happens. And so we've been chasing down brain tumors ever since then. Mm-hmm. And right now, we haven't found effective drugs that cross the blood-brain barrier, but the radiation has worked for the brain. But it's like, I always describe it like ant beds. It's like you can get this one over here, but you got a lone ant that crawls over here. Yeah. And so we just started a new drug. She's got metastasis to the liver now also. So we went back to an old drug that worked, that put her in remission prior to the brain cancer. So we're doing that systemic chemotherapy. And then we went to a brain cancer pill that crosses the blood-brain barrier. And we're just praying that we have the right combination now to put her back into remission. And honestly, and that's something I like to talk about is, cancer. People think, oh my God, we have to get it out of my body. Truth is, you just have to live in harmony with it. You don't have to eradicate it. You just have to learn how to. We have all kinds of bacteria and all sorts of things in our body that it's when they grow out of, or the overgrowth that creates the problem. And it's the same for cancer. Mm-hmm. So for me, I think my mom is still, Dad, you could speak to this, still wants it all gone.
Yeah, of course.
But I think for me, looking at it, it's like, let's just manage it and control it. And
sure.
I think she has and can continue to enjoy a real high quality of life. But as you know, when tumors get into the brain, it starts really ramping things up. Like, she wasn't able to walk 2 weeks ago. And now the radiation has kicked in and she's able to walk. And so, it's requires a lot of attention. And I think it's really good because we're all terminal.